The soft, golden light of the setting sun pours through the windows of Heavenly Spoon. The restaurant is quieter than usual, the clinking of dishes and quiet hum of the kitchen filling the otherwise calm atmosphere. Ha-eun stands by the stove, stirring the pot of kimchi stew, the scent of garlic and fermentation filling the air. Ji-hoon enters, his face tense, eyes distant. He looks at Ha-eun, but there's something different in his gaze. Ha-eun, he says, his voice low, almost hesitant. She turns, her heart skipping at the seriousness in his tone. What's wrong? Ji-hoon hesitates, his gaze flickering away. The soft, amber lighting from the kitchen above them seems to cast long shadows, emphasizing the distance growing between them. I've been thinking a lot about everything. Ha-eun swallows hard, feeling the weight of his words. The warm glow from the kitchen lanterns reflects off her face, but it does little to calm the turmoil inside her. What about us? He takes a deep breath. Maybe this whole thing wasn't just a way to avoid an arranged marriage. Maybe it was my way of hiding from what I really wanted. And now, I can't ignore it anymore. A chill runs through Ha-eun, despite the warmth of the kitchen. What are you saying? I'm saying, I'm falling for you, Ha-eun. His words hang heavy in the air, and for a long moment, neither of them speaks. The soft flickering lights above them seem to echo the unease growing between them. That evening, Ji-hoon's grandmother, Chairman Kim, arrives unannounced at Heavenly Spoon, the soft glow of the city lights casting long, harsh shadows across the restaurant's rustic wooden floor. Her presence fills the room with an unmistakable tension, her eyes sharp as they scan the restaurant. I told you, Ji-hoon, Chairman Kim says coldly. This charade has gone on long enough. If you can't bring yourself to marry Suwa, then end it now. Ji-hoon's expression hardens. Grandmother, I've made my decision. Ha-eun stands in the corner of the room, her hands shaking slightly as she watches the interaction. The golden, flickering lanterns above seem to highlight the unease in the air, casting long shadows across her face. Chairman Kim's eyes narrow. Then you'll end this nonsense with this woman tonight. Ha-eun's heart races, the words cutting deeper than expected. She steps forward, her voice trembling but firm. This is not a game, Mrs. Kim. We're not pretending anymore. I care for Ji-hoon. The room is silent, save for the soft hum of the overhead lights. The tension is thick, and Ha-eun's breath feels too shallow, too tight in her chest. Ji-hoon steps toward her, his gaze unwavering. She's right, grandmother. I care for her, and I'm not going to let you control my life anymore. Later that night, Ha-eun steps outside into the quiet alley behind the restaurant, the air cooler now, carrying the smell of rain. The streetlights flicker as she stands in the shadows, trying to breathe through the turmoil inside. The soft, golden light from the overhead lamps seems to mirror the inner conflict she feels. Ji-hoon follows her out, his footsteps quiet against the pavement. Ha-eun. His voice is soft but filled with urgency. She doesn't turn to him immediately. The city around them is dim, the flickering street lamps casting a melancholy glow over their faces. I don't know what you want from me, Ji-hoon, she says, her voice barely a whisper. He steps closer, his presence familiar, comforting, yet overwhelming in its intensity. I just want you to be honest with me. What we're doing has gone beyond just a deal. And I don't want to pretend anymore. I'm scared, Ha-eun. Ha-eun takes a deep breath, her heart pounding. I'm scared, too. But I don't know how to make sense of all of this. Everything's been so confusing. Ji-hoon reaches out, gently placing a hand on her shoulder. The soft light from the street lamps highlights the sincerity in his eyes. We're both in this together. We've been pretending for so long, but now it's time to face what's real. For a moment, everything feels suspended in time. The golden light from the lamps, the cool evening air, the steady rhythm of their breathing. Ha-eun looks at him, her heart finally understanding what she'd been avoiding for so long. The next day, Ji-hoon takes Ha-eun to a quiet hill overlooking the Han River, the late afternoon sun casting a warm, golden glow over the city. The soft hum of the wind stirs the trees, and the world feels still, as if holding its breath. They sit together in silence, watching as the last rays of sunlight shimmer on the river's surface. Ha-eun glances at Ji-hoon, her heart beating in her chest. What do we do now? Ji-hoon takes a deep breath, his gaze fixed on the river. We take this one step at a time. I know it's not going to be easy, but I don't want to lie to you anymore. Ha-eun feels a surge of emotion, the truth of his words washing over her. She reaches out, taking his hand in hers. The golden light from the setting sun bathes them in a soft, ethereal glow, and in that moment, it feels like everything is aligned, like everything has led them here. I'm ready to face whatever comes next, Ha-eun says, her voice steady and full of resolve. With you. Later that evening, the two families gather at Heavenly Spoon for a final dinner before Ji-hoon's departure for an important business trip. The restaurant is filled with the warm glow of lanterns and the sounds of quiet conversation. Chairman Kim, still stern but with a glimmer of acceptance in her eyes, sits beside Ha-eun's mother, who continues to chatter enthusiastically about wedding plans. The soft golden light of the room reflects off their faces, casting the night in a warm, hopeful glow. Ji-hoon and Ha-eun stand together at the front of the room, their hands intertwined. Ha-eun looks up at Ji-hoon, her heart full of everything she never expected. I'm ready to face this, Ji-hoon, she says softly. He smiles at her, the warmth of his gaze finally matching the soft light around them. So am I. The two families watch them, the room filled with quiet anticipation. It may not be perfect. It may not be what they expected, but it's real. And for the first time in a long time, that's enough.